Hello everyone, and welcome to my list of the top 5 welterweight fights in UFC history. At number 5, we have Tyrone Woodley vs. Stephen Thompson 1. Debatably one of the best fight cards in UFC history, UFC 205 had some amazing fights and soon-to-be stars, but in the co-main event, we got one of the most entertaining title matches of all time. Karate superstar Stephen Thompson had been running through the welterweight division with grace and devastating power. Coming off a win against a battle-hardened Rory MacDonald, Wonderboy was ready for his first title fight against a newly crowned Tyrone Woodley, who was coming off a big knockout win over Robbie Lawler. What came next was one of the most intriguing stylistic matchups we have seen in a long time. A wrestler with power in both hands going up against the modern-day Bruce Lee. The fight was extremely back and forth, but in the end, the fight concluded with a majority draw and Woodley retained the belt. At number 4, we have Kamaru Usman vs. Colby Covington. A storm of words and punches defined this bout as entertaining and, in the end, satisfying to many. Kamaru Usman was coming off of a dominant win and wrestling showcase against Tyrone Woodley, while Colby was coming off of back-to-back commanding performances against former champions Rafael dos Anjos and Robbie Lawler. When the fight had commenced, fans were waiting to see who would attempt the first takedown, but to many people's surprise, neither fighter wanted to bring this fight to the ground. So for the next 24 minutes, we got a ferocious battle of strikes. By the start of the 5th, Colby's jaw was broken, and at the last minute of the fight, Usman cracked chaos with a huge straight right, which led to a barrage of strikes, ultimately leaving Usman as the undisputed welterweight champion and starting his legacy as king. At number 3, we have Nick Diaz vs. Paul Daley. Now before you guys say that this isn't a UFC fight, I know, but Strikeforce was bought by UFC, so I'm counting it. Lacking in duration, we are delivered the most entertaining one-round fight of all time between the original West Coast gangster Nick Diaz and a formidable opponent in Paul Semtex Daley. From the first ring of the bell, we got a hurricane of pure violence unfolding. Diaz immediately starts taunting and talking smack, but Daley makes him pay with a powerful left that sends Diaz down fast. But just as fast as he was put down, Nick gets back up and the war truly begins. After both fighters put each other down multiple times, it was Nick Diaz who came out on top in typical Diaz fashion. I cannot put into words just how chaotic this fight truly was. I suggest going and watching this fight immediately if you haven't already. At number 2, we have Conor McGregor vs. Nate Diaz 2. After Nate Diaz delivered one of the biggest upsets in the history of the UFC, everyone knew that we would have a fantastic rematch between the UFC's two biggest stars. Though nobody thought that the fight would live up to our expectations, it did, and then some. Before the fight even happened, the build-up was absolutely insane, with both fighters appearing on multiple news networks, giving us some of the sport's most memorable trash talk. This fight from start to finish was bananas and extremely close, but the Irish fans rejoiced when the Notorious One's hand was raised. This sets up the third fight to be one of the biggest fights in UFC history, yet the bout was never finalized. After 7 years, fans still cross their fingers and hope that this fight will happen soon. And at number 1, we have Robbie Lawler vs. Rory MacDonald 2. I mean, was this really a surprise to anyone? Robbie Lawler is one of the most entertaining welterweights to ever live, and has a fantastic comeback story after being let go from the UFC early in his career. Lawler fought his way back to get re-signed and eventually become champion. Each bout he had was more exciting than the previous, and fans were living on cloud 9. It's hard to pick just one Lawler fight to showcase, but it's clear that Rory MacDonald has to be recognized because of the absolute war that these two put on. I mean, who can forget the most iconic stare down at the end of the 4th round? Bloody and bruised, both fighters did not stop fighting until the very end when Lawler had hit MacDonald's already broken nose one too many times, which sent Rory crumbling down to the canvas, giving us the best welterweight fight of all time. Thank you all for watching. If you guys enjoyed this video, consider hitting the like button, and if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe. Let me know in the comments what your favorite welterweight fight is and what kind of lists you want to see me make in the near future.